and welcome to Shortcuts, the accelerated guitar method with Paul deMarco. That's me. And yeah, a little bit of an intro there because today we are talking about harmonics. What are harmonics? Well, if you play any note on the guitar, let's take this open G. That note is made up of lots of sub-levels of frequencies that we don't necessarily hear. All we hear is that octave of the G. However, if I was to play a harmonic, which we'll talk about how to make them in a moment, I end up muting the main note that we hear, and we only hear like a sub-frequency or an upper frequency of that note. So we hear as opposed to. And it's all about the vibrations of the note. Basically, we reduce the amount of vibrations by slightly touching the string. And what we hear is a higher frequency of the note that we would normally hear because we've muted some of the lower frequencies. So, harmonics are used a lot in all types of music, particularly guitar music, which is why it's a pretty cool and exciting thing to do. I'm extra excited this week as well, actually, because although harmonics are incredibly cool and I'm excited about that, I've also been given the go-ahead to use a guest lesson by the brilliant guitarist, teacher, musician, journalist Jude Gold. You'll see in the description a little bit about Jude and what he does, and following this video, if you hit the link in the description, you can see Jude's song Salamander, where he employs some of these harmonic techniques and his techniques spank guitar as well, and then also a masterclass lesson with Jude on something he calls galloping harmonics. So make sure you hit the link after this video and check that out. So let's understand harmonics a little bit first of all. We now know what they are. Now we need to know how to play them. Okay, so first of all, what we want to make sure that we do is we're not pressing down the string at any point during these harmonics. All we're doing is we are lightly touching the string. So if you take your middle finger, because one of the easiest places to get a harmonic is fret 12. Now you take your middle finger, for example, and you're going to place it directly above fret 12. Now if you look, if I move my fingers out of the way, excuse me, if I move my fingers out of the way, you should see that you can't see fret 12. It's hidden. If you're like that and you can see fret 12, then you're not in the right place. You need to just lie directly above fret 12, and that way you will hear the harmonic. Now you're just lightly touching the string, just about barely touching it. Then you're going to rake through the strings, and then as the strings sound, you lift your finger off. So we get this. And the strings ring out. So just try that now. So you can pick one string or you can pick all six. Make sure you're directly over the fret, slightly touching the string, pick it and let go. Now, 12th fret is probably the easiest place for you to do that, so give that a go first. But two other places which are easy as well, or the easiest, is fret 7 and fret 5. So basically what we're hearing is we're hearing an octave. If we're at 12, we're hearing that octave of the open strings, but it rings out differently to how it would if we were fretting it. And then we're getting higher notes here and higher notes again there. So it's a really cool technique and you can get some really good ideas. Some examples of songs where they would use the open, those type of natural harmonics is, for example, Jimi Hendrix's Little Wing, where at the end of the intro he might do something a little bit like this. So you might hear something like that in Jimi Hendrix's Little Wing. The Metallica song Nothing Else Matters, which goes like this. just before the guitar starts up in the intro, at the end of that first bit, you'll hear a little harmonic. Just before the vocal comes in. So that's another example of where you might hear that. To use the other positions of those, if I put my delay on, we'll talk about delay in a future episode. U2's Pride in the Name of Love, particularly good. So with that we get... So that's a particularly good one, where we're playing fret 12, fret 7, and that's just fret 12 on the top 2 strings, fret 7 on the A and the D, and then fret 7 on the D and the G. So that's a particularly good one, and an enjoyable one to do. That's one way of playing harmonics, using those examples. There are other places where we can get a harmonic. For example, we can get them on fret 4 as well. And that's a slightly different, more difficult place to get a harmonic, but quite common. So we might hear something like Joe Satriani has a song called Summer Song, which he does this. And live he does an intro a little bit like this. Sorry, try that again. Now that's quite a cool one. There's a few other techniques which we'll talk about in a moment involved in that one. And then perhaps we'll do one more for now, and that's Bon Jovi's Raise Your Hands. So we get something a little bit like this. So that's quite cool, where you're playing one after the other. There's loads of examples. We could keep going on, but we won't. So that's one way to play it, and that's where we're playing open string harmonics, 12, 7, and 5. So give that a try and see how you get on with that. Now, we can also tune the guitar using open harmonics. Okay, so let's give that a little try. So with this, we're going to play. Now, you remember tuning. One string tunes another. It's the same idea, but we're going to use it with harmonics. Why is this helpful and why is this a shortcut? Because you can hear the vibration of the strings if it's slightly out. It's a little bit easier. Plus also... your hand is free to do the tuning. So we're going to play a harmonic on fret 5 and 7. 5 and 7 on the next string. 5 and 7 on the next string. And then we're actually going to play a slightly more tricky one. There's two ways to do this, but we're going to play fret 4 on the G, and then fret 5 on the B. And then we're back to 5 and 7. And again, you're trying to match up the notes so that they sound even and there's no vibration or wobbling in the notes as you play them. So that's how we can tune. And it's just an extra way of tuning, just to double check the tuning that you may have already done, either with a tuner or with the traditional method. So one other thing that we can perhaps do is something called tapped harmonics. Now, Jude is going to discuss this in his lesson, but I'll give you a little example of what that is. If I was to take the open string, if I tap on a note, which is, let's use the octave for example. If I tap 12 frets higher, I get the harmonic. Now, an example of this. And the great thing about this is if we fretted, we just go 12 frets higher and we can still tap. So maybe if we're on fret 5, we want to be on fret 17, so we might go. So we can try. Sorry about that little wrong note there. So we can try those ideas. Good example of this is Eddie Van Halen uses that a lot. But rather than use that, I'm going to do something by Nuno Bettencourt, and this is a little thing that Nuno does in his song "Rest in Peace." So you'd get something like this where he's playing. So we're playing an E7 shape here, but Nuno will go. So what I'm doing is I'm fretting the chord and I'm tapping the octave higher. Takes a bit of time to get the accuracy, but it's a lot of fun when you do. Just a couple of more things then, actually, which are quite good. Dive bombs are great, right? So what we're going to do is you play a harmonic, and then you dive the vibrato arm down, or the whammy bar if you've got a Floyd Rose. You could do that anyway. Eddie Van Halen would do stuff where he might play a note and he would dive bomb it and then bring it back up and wobble it, for want of a better word. So we might go. So you can get some quite cool things, and they're a lot of fun. So it's also nice to sort of have the bar down and then bring it up. So we might go. That's quite cool. And then just finally, here's quite a cool one. You notice actually in Summer Song, I basically found all the harmonics along. Vita Brata does a thing, which I think he probably nicked from Eddie anyway. Vita Brata from White Lion. If you've not heard him, you've got to check him out. Where you lightly touch the string with your palm whilst playing a little pull-off. So that's quite cool. There are loads of other things that we can do to try some of these ideas, and maybe we will in a future episode. But for now, just try out some of those things. So practice it slowly, and remember, really light touch on the strings. You don't want to be pressing, you just want to be gently touching the strings. So have a little bit of fun with that. Practice slow, build up your ideas, and then you can try some more advanced stuff. And speaking of advanced stuff, Jude Gold's lesson masterclass, which you can see the little clip in the description there, just hit on that, and you'll notice Jude breaks it down brilliantly live at Musicians Institute, and it's a really great lesson. So listen to that, watch that, try some of the things. If it's a bit advanced, that's cool. Just take something from it and then come back to it as you progress. And this is all about progressing fast. So try and link up those shortcuts to help you get there. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Share this wherever you want. Come find me on Facebook and drop me a message. Let me know how this is benefiting you and if the shortcuts are helping. So thanks for now. Thanks for listening, and I shall see you next time on Shortcuts.